Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Afternoon Tea with Docs. I am Dr. Erica, a GP from the West Midlands, and I am the part of the Afternoon Tea with Docs team. And today we welcome back Dr. Sarmila Sinha with us. She is a consultant psychiatrist with over 15 years of experience in the NHS. And we've been talking with Sarmila over the past few weeks on tips to deal with stress at home, relationships, at work, and last week we talked about depression and suicide as well. So welcome, Sarmila. How
Thank
are
you
you
very
this
much.
morning?
I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Great to have you back.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really happy to be back as well.
So today we're focusing on how to resolve conflicts. And just before we came on live, we were talking about how dealing with conflict on sort of one-to-one relationships at home, at work, can be quite different to dealing with conflicts with clients, and in my case, with patients or relatives. Can you sort of give us some insight into that at all?
Yes, essentially, what is conflict? So, conflict is another word for disagreement or a disagreement or a dispute or things like that. So, conflict can happen in any environment with anyone. Obviously, patient and doctor relationship, those conflicts are a little bit different. Customer and the organization, or customer and the business relationship. So those are the other types of conflicts. And then there's conflict at work among peers. There's conflict in relationships in our personal lives. So conflicts can happen in any scenario. And to go into depth into conflict resolution in these different scenarios is a little bit different from each other. So we can focus on just one or two areas today.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with conflicts at home with family and friends, because that is a common scenario. We don't always agree with the people that we love, the people that we see on a day-to-day basis, and let's start with, say, spouse.
Yeah.
Spouse or a partner. That is a common one, isn't it? Disagreement there. So any tips on how to resolve conflicts with a spouse?
So the first key, I'm going to make a little bit like stepwise, 1, 2, 3, something. So the first step is to be willing to communicate. So I think because when partners or spouse the couples, when there is conflict, there are usually two ways. Either they talking too much over each other, or they are completely avoiding each other, like non-cooperation, not talking to each other. So there are the two extremes. And I think the first way to resolve a conflict is to recognize that there is a problem here. Like, some people are in denial. Some people don't even want to acknowledge there's a problem. So the first step is to understand that there is a problem, be willing to communicate, and then find a neutral place, find a place where they can start talking. So if it is a conflict which is related to home, family matters, finances, or mother-in-law is one of the hot topics, really. So avoid sitting next to your mother-in-law, or avoid your home. Like, if you're going to talk, find a neutral place. It could be a cafe, go out and try to be, in a neutral place where both of you are more relaxed. And then try to identify the problem, because sometimes when there is a conflict, it's not about facts so much as about it is about the feelings. So when couples argue, they hash out issues from the past, isn't it? Like, there is a small issue in there that is causing the problem immediately, but when they start talking, or when they go for couples counseling, they bring out issues from the past. So it's all about the feelings, how the other person is feeling. And when issues like that come up, so it's not just the factual matters that is the problem. So the one person must understand that the other person also has their own emotional state, which needs to be listened to, which needs to be addressed. So acknowledging each other's position, the emotional situation, acknowledging that, and just paying attention to the non-verbal communication style, the tone of the voice, the if the other person is crying, just out of you can put the differences aside and just be a human being, a good human being. So things like that, I think, reaching out to each other and trying to yes, there are problems, there are conflicts, but at the same time there are something positive, there is something good in this relationship, that is why they are together. So try to find out what is it that is keeping them together in this relationship. So try to find common goals. So what is their both of their common goals? Are their common goals maybe um, to be together in the relation? Do they want that to be together? So if that is the common goal, then they have to find out mutually ways that they can stay together. So when you identify a common goal, and then you can find out some mutually agreeable solutions. So I think it is very important to listen to the other person.
Yeah, I think that listening piece is so important, whether it's with family, friends, colleagues, or anybody that we talk to.
Yeah.
I think very often when somebody else is talking, you're trying to think of the next thing you're going to say, and so you stop listening to this person in front of you because your brain is turning and it's like, oh, what am I going to say next? But I want to tell my story. I want to tell my side, right? And one really good trick actually is verbally or in your head repeating what the other person is saying, so that you have to be 100% focused on exactly what they're saying. And once you've really heard them, your response is less likely to come out as but this, right? Because as soon as you say but, yes, but, then it's like you've kind of negated everything that the other person has just been saying. So I think that listening part is really, really key here.
Yes, I would 100% agree to that. When we listen and when we are a bit calm, I think the 4 steps of stress management, which I was earlier talking about, which is calm, clarity, choice, and change. The first 2 steps, calm and clarity, really helps both at work scenarios as well as in personal lives. So first, we have to be calm, right? We have to be in a place of calm, be in a place of acceptance, be open-minded when we are trying to resolve conflict. Keeping an open mind is really important. It's not about your own agenda and trying to force your agenda on the other person, but it's about finding a mutually collaborative solution. Because at the end of the day, you want the relationship to work. If this is the case, if that is the goal, then there has to be some mutually agreeable uh, solutions. And then the clarity. I think clarity is very important both in work as well as in personal life. Find out more information. Clarify what is the problem. What is it? Sometimes, I'll give you an example. Like, say for instance, the one of the partner is working and the other partner is at home. They could be looking after the kids, they're spending more time at home, the other person is busy doing office work. So the person who is doing office work may be thinking that I'm doing this for my family, I'm working hard because I'm the breadwinner, I'm the bread earner, I have to work hard for the sake of my family. His intention is good, but the other partner who is at home may be thinking that my partner doesn't spend time with us, with the kids, with me, and they're spending more and more time outdoors. So you see where there is resentment developing, and this person who is developing the resentment is not understanding that the other person is working hard for their sake, and things like that. So try to find out what is the intent behind the action. And when we try to find the intention behind their action, most of the time the intentions are good. And when we know that the intention is good, that is gaining clarity. When you are clear about the objectives, the goals, then we can be a bit more acceptable, a bit more receptive.
Absolutely. So So this is how we deal with kind of people on our level, let's say, peers, partners. What about conflict with somebody from a position of power, say at work with your boss? I find that in those situations, I have unfortunately been in one of these situations once. And I felt so threatened that I just stood there completely quiet and then started tearing up. And I couldn't be my own advocate. And all I could do in that situation was to leave the room.
Yeah.
What advice or tips do you have to deal with conflicts with a senior?
I think when there is a conflict with the senior, it is the responsibility of the person in power, the senior person, to make sure that if he or she is going to address a conflict, that they are fair. What happened to you was really unfair, because I don't know if you were given a warning that this was going to be brought up in the discussion.
Oh no, it was a sudden thing that just happened.
That is really, really wrong. So when we do our courses and our coaching programs on conflict resolution at work, we always tell the person who is who is having an upper hand, like he's a manager or a boss or a senior person, and if he's going to speak with a junior, make sure that you give enough warning, enough time to that person to prepare. That's only fair. If you're catching someone off guard, that is not the right thing to do. And my advice for that junior person, or for that person who is caught off guard by his boss, is to be brave enough to say that, look, this is not the right time to bring this topic. I am in the middle of something. Let me come back to you. So if you're caught off guard, it could be with a customer, it could be with anybody. If you're not prepared to discuss the topic, nobody can force you to do it. Unless it is a matter of a patient life and death, you're in an emergency where you have to take the decision there and then. Apart from that, if it is to do with anything work related, you're not obliged to discuss it unless you're ready. Nobody can force you to talk about it. So the first thing to do is to ask yourself, is this a good time? Am I ready to discuss it? And check with yourself, what is your emotional state? Because if your emotional state is that of fear, of anger, of horror, of extreme upset, then you are in your emotions will get the better of you. You will not be able to be your own advocate. So check internally, check what is your emotional state. Are you feeling comfortable to discuss with that person? And if you feel extremely threatened, you can totally bail out. You can say, I'm not willing to discuss this with you. I would need someone else to be with us when we discuss this. So if it is in a threat situation, you can always say, I'm really sorry, I cannot discuss this with you. I would really want somebody else to be with us in this discussion.
Okay. So either take yourself out of the situation right there and then, and ask for a mutually convenient time to discuss it in a neutral space, perhaps with a witness present as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And if it is something to do with your line manager, for instance, because most of the time at work, everybody has a supervisor or a line manager. And our line managers are our they're our anchor, they're our support network. They're the people we can go to if we are experiencing any difficulties with anybody. So we can use that opportunity to speak to our line manager in supervision to express that we are having these difficulties. And but if the conflict is with the line manager, obviously, then it becomes even more trickier, because then we have to involve somebody else in these discussions, because 90% of the time you'll not be held in the favorable position, because there may be some bias, isn't it? They may not be able to make fair conclusions, so things like that. So it's always better for both parties to meet in a mutually, as you said, neutral place. And when both of you are ready to talk about it, if the other one person is ready and the other person is not, it's not going to be a constructive discussion.
That's really, really useful. Thank you, Dr. Sarmila. Just so we've come to the end of our 15 minutes today, and just want to take this opportunity again to thank you and to let our audience know about your course, which is tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, really excited.
Tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's the 18th. It's the stress management trainer course that is affiliated with the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine, and it's a one-day training course. And we'll put the information in the link for anyone who is interested. Can they still sign up today, or is it now?
Yeah, the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine is organizing this course. I did check the tickets. Sales have ended. This sale ended a couple of days ago. But what they can do is they could subscribe to the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine newsletter, and then they can find out about upcoming courses. And our course, there will be another course, hopefully in January, end of January, there will be another course. So just
perfect. And thank you so much, Sarmila.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's been really nice talking to you. Thank you.